Hi everyone, welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas. I'm Marissa Lovett and I'm going to be talking today about shamanic dream signs, waking up in the dream, and dreaming about the future. So I'm just going to give everyone a few minutes to show up here, and I may not see your names right off the bat, but if I don't, or if I don't see your comment, I will definitely be checking the comments thread after the live stream, and I will answer any questions, or I'm happy to chat with everybody about if you have any questions or comments. So I hope all of you have been enjoying the live streams so far. I've loved them. And hey, Caitlin. Hey, Susan. Good morning. Hey, Kirsten. And basically, this has been a really great opportunity to be able to share with all of you about shamanic dream work. So thank you, Christina, and thank you to everyone who has been involved so far. Everyone has been awesome. Okay, so while I'm getting ready to start, hey, Kimberly, hey, I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit. My name is Marissa Lovett. I have a Facebook business page called Celestial Tree and a blog of the same name. And I have a Facebook group called Shamanic Earth Medicine. I've been a shamanic practitioner for about 21 years, and I've been doing shamanic coaching for 3 and dreamwork sessions for 2. And what I do is I like to help women and some men between 35 and 60 to basically tune into their inherent shamanic gifts, especially as it pertains to their relationship with the dream world. And I help them empower themselves, learn about healing, and learn about the divination that they can tap into through shamanic dream work. So it's been really wonderful getting to know some of you a little deeper that way by meeting with you in the group or having sessions with you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to ask for a little help from my helping spirits before we get started. So, I want to talk a little bit about what the difference is and the similarities between lucid dreaming and shamanic dreaming. Many of you may already be lucid dreamers, and some of you may already be familiar with shamanic dreaming. But I'm going to go over a few things that may be review for some of you. And I hope I will be also introducing some new ideas as well. Oh, hey, Linda. How are you? So basically, lucid dreaming involves training oneself to wake up within the dream and know that you're dreaming. So in other words, you're still sleeping, but you realize that you're dreaming, you're in the dream world, and you actually have some ability to influence the direction that the dream goes. In other words, you can sort of dialogue with it. Many of the ways that people train themselves to do modern lucid dreaming will remind you a little bit of some of the shamanic practices that I'm going to discuss, but they're a little bit different. Shamanic dream work is different because it starts out with the idea that the dream world is actually a portal to the other world, and that there are different layers of this other world that can be accessed through the dream. It also often includes working with helping spirits. In other words, it isn't just you going into the dream world consciously. You're bringing allies, either ancestors, power animals, or other beings with you into the dream. And so I'm going to be talking about a little bit about how some of those allies work in traditional cultures and how you can tap into that as well. So let me see if there's a comment. I'm really glad you're doing your video on this. My dreams are psychic. Oh, wow, wonderful. Yeah, I hope that you get something out of this, and please feel free to ask questions. So basically, in shamanic dreaming, you not only bring your intentions, you also bring even shamanic dream objects, which are like effigies or other objects which have been blessed or empowered that are sort of like a telephone line to the spirits. And you bring these objects into the dream world, which I will be discussing a little more later. And of course, you're doing this, and this is a little bit like the Tibetan practices. You can practice your spiritual practices in the other world consciously through your dreaming. So in other words, you could practice connecting with helping spirits, or you could practice going to certain regions of the other world. You also can use this technique for divination to help yourself and for other people. So the three things I'm really going to be talking about today are setting your intentions to be lucid in a shamanic way, what dream signs are like when you wake up within the dream shamanically, and some ideas about bringing this into your work with dreaming about the future. And then there's going to be two very short exercises that we'll be doing in this talk. Hi, Jennifer Packman. How you doing? Okay, so there's three really important ideas about setting your intentions to dream. And like lucid dreaming, there's a lot of lucid dreaming that you do while you're awake. In other words, preparing yourself to dream. And shamanic dreaming is exactly the same way. But in shamanic dreaming, the idea is that our waking reality, our waking life, and our dream life are actually portals that connect to one another, because the unseen world and this world have an ongoing relationship and dialogue. And it's the task of the shaman or the medicine person to be conscious of this dialogue and to work with it to bring harmony. So the first thing that I like to do to set my intention to be lucid is to harmonize my body and spirit. And a really great way to do this is breath work. There are some complicated, very traditional ways to do this, and there are some relatively simple ones. An example of a complicated one is Sergio Magaña, who teaches the Mexican traditions. He does a breath work series where you inhale for the count of 13 and exhale for the count of 8. Anyone who's familiar with the Mayan calendar will recognize these as sacred numbers in the Central American traditions. This is done over a series. And after this, you plant your intention for where you want to go in the dream world. There's another exercise that John Lockley does, the Sangoma, the Zulu Sangoma, where you synchronize your breath with your heartbeat. And you're basically connecting with your blood through your breath and through the ancestors through your breath. These are wonderful exercises and really much more traditional practices than what I'm about to show you. But sometimes they're hard to make space for. So I'm going to talk about a really easy one that comes from a book called Advanced Shamanism by James Andretti. And basically what this is it's just a very simple, progressive relaxation where you breathe in a low light situation, because that helps to shut out distracting noises, distracting visuals. And you just take a few minutes to breathe in and just kind of, relax your leg, and then relax your other leg, and then relax your foot and your other foot, and onward throughout your entire body until you get to your head. But what makes this a little different from traditional progressive relaxation exercises is that while breathing naturally Every 4 breaths, you breathe in and think to yourself, I breathe myself. And you just do this every 4 breaths until you get to the end of the progressive relaxation. What this does is it automatically sends a signal to my body that it's time to relax. The stress of the day is over. I'm in a completely different mode right now. And it gets my body and my psyche and my emotions kind of all on the same page. And a body that's all on the same page is easier. It's easier to send your spirit into the dream world when you've done this. Of course, there's lots of other practices, like ones from yoga, that are really good also. So if you have a tradition, just work with that one first. But breath work is really one of the key ways to set your intention. The second intention that I like to set is the intention of protection. When you're going into the dream world with intention, you are accessing the other world, and there are helping spirits and there are not so great spirits there. And you want to make sure that your energy field is as safe and protected as you possibly can. So what I like to do is, I'm borrowing this practice from Robert Moss, but I like to, because I feel a connection with oak trees, I basically like to imagine that my back is next to an oak tree, that my back is pressed against the trunk of the tree, and then I'm just humbly asking the oak to help me ground. And as the oak helps me to draw energy from the earth, and maybe some energy from the stars down into my body, this energy goes up into my root, into my navel, and into my solar plexus, where it becomes like a bright, bright sun. And as the sun fills my body, it radiates out around me, and it radiates out like a type of protection, so that I can feel ready to go into the dream world, safe and protected. You also can ask your helping spirits to join you if you have them. Any protective spirits that work with you, feel free to ask them. This is very traditional, and I think it's a great practice, because a lot of people don't realize that you're sort of journeying every night in your dreams. Another traditional practice, if you're following the Andean path, is to imagine a sun over a little bit below your navel, or or dantian. What this does is it keeps other people and harmful spirits from coming into your dream. So this is a little more of an advanced practice, but it is traditional. But I like the one with the oak tree because it's very easy to use. And I'm really into simplicity, especially during the holiday season. And the third thing I like to do is I like to use my physical body to help me achieve lucidity. And I'm going to talk about this a little more in the next section. But many people wake up during the night because maybe they need to use the bathroom, or they're just kind of restless sleepers and they just happen to wake up, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning before they're going to wake up for their day. You can actually use this to help achieve lucidity. Many medicine people train themselves. I know that this is done in the Andes, to wake up mid-sleep, perhaps urinate or record their dreams in their dreams crystals, and then go with intent back into the dream and into the shamanic journey in their dream. Lucid dreamers, you may recognize this practice as the practice of setting your alarm in the middle of the night to wake up and then going back to sleep. It's thought that it's a little easier to enter a lucid dream from a lighter sleep state. And I think this also interrupts some of your REM sleep cycles, which also encourage lucidity. So you can see where the traditional cultures, without using alarms, also know about some of these practices that lucid dreamers have been using. So let me just take a moment to kind of take a breath and see if there's any questions. Hi, Claudine. Hi, Adan Jesus. I hope I'm saying your name right. Thank you all for watching. So, I'm going to now talk about actual waking up in the dream. And what I'm really going to talk about here are the different types of dream signs that you as a shamanic dreamer might be looking for in your dreaming. And I'm also going to talk about a little bit about what shamanic dreaming kind of looks and feels like. So the first type of shamanic dreaming is one that's spontaneous. Your ancestors or your helping spirits take you on a dream journey. Often these dreams are very vivid. Colors are very bright. Your senses are very awake. You feel very connected to a powerful, protective presence. You may receive instruction or empowerment or healing in these dreams. So you can tell the difference between these dreams and your ordinary nighttime dreams because they're very different, especially since you make contact with your shamanic helping spirits or traditions in these dreams. Basically, these spontaneous dreams kind of fall into two general categories. One is initiation dreams. Many shamans and medicine people are called to their path by an initiating dream, where an ancestor or helping spirit provokes them in the dream, sometimes taking them on an elaborate and very intense dream journey. Sometimes they're given medicine songs or they're given instructions about where to find power objects that will help them. Sometimes they're just being told you need to look for a teacher. But it's very common, about as common as near-death experiences, to be called to shamanic practice by one of these initiating dreams. So, Kimberly Esson, when I was young, I used to experiment with sleep deprivation, but it made it, hold on for a minute, let me see if I can see this, easy to slip right into lucid dream state from waking state. Yeah, I mean, there's different ways of working with your body, and some people tend, like I tend to enter, because I'm a heavy sleeper naturally, I tend to enter lucidity better from the hypnagogic state. Other people do better when they go into a very deep sleep and wake up within the dream. So both of them are very helpful. You just have to kind of know your own body. So another type of important dream is a dream where the helping spirits call you to some type of task or training. In the book Light of the Andes, the author of that book is called by an Apu, or a mountain spirit, to basically become more connected with this mountain spirit, and this eventually changes the work he's doing as a medicine person. So you can see that these dreams that are spontaneous are often sent by your helping spirits to say, it's time to do something different. But it's also possible and very helpful to go into these things with intent. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works. So, like I said before, it's easier for me to wake up within the dream. To go into the dream from a hypnagogic state. So how I wake up within the dream is very simple. I go into the dream the same way every time. I work with a helping spirit that's a bird. I'm on the back of the bird. We're flying over a bayou near my home. And as we begin to fly, I begin to notice something about the environment changing. And the moment I notice this change, I know I'm asleep. And I know that I've woken up within my sleep. So I know that I'm dreaming. Now this is often a very light dream, a very light sleep state. And it's necessary for me to go deeper to go into a really lucid dream. But this is one way to know that you've woken up within the dream. Another way to wake up within the dream is to pay attention to what your body looks like when you're asleep. So while I'm lying or riding on the back of this bird, I have my arms stretched out on the wings of the bird. And I look over at my arms, and if I can see the bird's wing and I can't see my own hand, or if I can see my hands and I'm flying but there's no bird, that's another signal that I've gone into a dream. So basically what you're doing is you're tracking the moment when things change in your dream. It's very hard to do this at first because it's like the Maya say it's a form of spiritual warriorship to both remember your dreams and to realize that things have changed within your dreams. But it's a really wonderful and important practice. So I'm going to really quickly read one of these comments, and then I'm going to do a very short guided exercise in doing this. So I think scary dreams sometimes scare us into lucidity. Yes, that's true, and I'm going to talk about nightmares a little bit later because they're sort of a special class of dreams. So if you're in a situation where you can close your eyes for a few minutes and you're not driving a car or doing anything that requires your full attention, I'd love to invite you to take part in this practice that I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to ask my helping spirits and your helping spirits to be present with us. Gracias, gracias, gracias. And now what I want you to do is when I start to rattle, I want you to close your eyes and look at yourself. You can even go into a scene from a dream that you remember, one that you've had sometime. And look around in the dream and notice when something changes. In other words, just create the dream image in your mind. As I rattle, go into it and just notice if and when something changes. So when you're ready, open your eyes. You can take a minute if you want to like rub your hands together and kind of remember that you're back in your body. And just check in and see if you can remember anything that might be different or that might have changed within your visualization of that dream. This is sort of a training for what you're looking for as you go into the hypnagogic state if you're trying to induce a lucid dream from a half asleep state. You can also do this when you're waking up in the morning. If you don't have to jump right out of bed, you can sort of train yourself to kind of go back into your dream a little bit and just notice when things start to change. And you'll probably say, oh, I'm dreaming. Now, the problem is you can get so excited about realizing that you're dreaming that you wake up. But if as I explain some of these other practices, you'll realize that you can actually take helpers into the dream with you so that you can not just track when you're awake, but go with intent into the dream world. So I want to talk a little bit about how this works in shamanic cultures. There's a famous dream shaman named Ruby Modesto, and she was a medicine woman in one of the California native tribes. And what she was taught to do by her teachers was to go into the hypnagogic state, as I just described, lie down, and in her half asleep or lightly dreaming state, wake up, like fall asleep in the dream, and then wake up in another world. And she might even do this a second time. What this does is, it's a way of training your psyche to get out of your own energy field and into the other world. When we sleep, it's very normal to basically process the emotions, feelings, and physical processes of the day. But if you really want to connect with your helping spirits and with the other world, you need to find a way to get out of that. And I'll describe a little later how that has worked for me. The second practice is one that comes from the more like the Huichol tradition that James Andretti, who I mentioned earlier, talks about. And this is a practice of using dream stones. And these are like objects, dream objects, that the medicine person brings to bed with them. And what he does is, the way he recognizes that he's dreaming, or that he's ready to go into the other world, is that he'll see one of his dream objects in the dream, usually in one of these light sleep stages. The dream object turns into a portal, and he can go through the dream object and go into the other world. This is a little easier to do than you might think. It's just necessary to have an object that you have a really strong rapport, maybe one that you've blessed or dedicated to connecting with a helping spirit who helps you with dreaming or with journeying, or with anytime you maybe astral project for people who aren't as connected with the shamanic path. The other thing is that these dream objects are cross-cultural ideas, often connected with the ancestors. So, for example, in the Siberian tradition, people often work with mirrors, these polished mirrors. Some of them are very old, and they're used for many different shamanic practices. And one of the things they can be used for is lucid dreaming. The second type of of object would be like the stones I was telling you about that James Andretti uses in the Huichol tradition. Basically, these stones might be connected to ancestral helping spirits, or they might have been located in a very powerful place so that they connect with that place and the medicine of that place. And the third idea is one from the Maya, which is called, they're basically artifacts from the classic Maya period that Mayan people find and gift to one another. And they're called camahuyes. And basically, these are like stone axes that are connected to the ancestors, because the Maya admired their classic Maya ancestors for good reason. And so these axes are found on holy mountains, and they're considered to be portals to receiving powerful dreams. And these camahuyes are not just associated with medicine people. Ordinary people also are gifted these, and they're considered to be a way of connecting with important dreams, which then you might take to a medicine person to interpret if you needed to. So I want to talk a little bit about the difference between how normal dream symbols and shamanic dream symbols work in my life. And I'll give you like a little example. For myself, one of my dream symbols is I know I'm kind of rattling around in my own emotions, thoughts, and physical processes from the day if I dream of houses or sidewalks. I'm still sort of stuck in my mental body. So, for example, I was trying to do that practice that I told you about Ruby Modesto. So I went into a hypnagogic state. I laid down in the dream. I woke up, but I woke up in a house, and I was sleeping on a bed. So I knew that I had not yet reached the other world, or the transpersonal world, where I was really connecting with helping spirits. Another time, I did the same thing, and I was outside. I could see houses, but I was near trees where I leave offerings. So I knew that this time I was a little closer to reaching the other world, and I was able to go asleep, lay down again within the dream, fall asleep, and wake up again, this time in the other world, surrounded by my helping spirits and experiencing the type of vivid imagery and sensations that I associate with a shamanic dream. So let me just take another breath and see if anyone has a question or comment. Just got a rush order, have to jump, I can't wait to watch replay. Oh, good for you. Also got some answers, that's wonderful. Catlin, good, that's all I have are nightmares. Oh, well, that's good. I will talk about that a little bit later. So you may wonder, like, why do we cultivate these things? Why do we want to go with intent, with dream objects, preparing our bodies first, possibly chanting healing songs or mantras or other prayers to go with intent into the other world? Well, the reason why you do this is because this is a wonderful way to actually shamanic journey. So in other words, any of the things that you use shamanic journeying for, healing work, divination, empowerment, getting to know your spirits better, any of this can be practiced in a shamanic dream journey. The other thing that you can practice, which is very important, is shape-shifting. Shape-shifting, where you transform into either a powerful ancestor or a plant spirit or an animal spirit, is a very important practice to cultivate in shamanic dream work. And it's a way of sort of integrating the power and medicine of those spirits into your spirit body as a shamanic dreamer. So practicing shape-shifting in the dream is a very important and powerful practice. And the other thing is that it just helps, once you become connected with shamanic dreaming, it helps me to be more mindful and aware in ordinary reality. So in other words, it creates results in waking life. That result may be healing. You can also heal another person with their permission in a dream. And you can receive information that makes it possible for you to experience synchronicities, like you dream about something and then it begins to happen. Excuse me, hold on for a minute. Sorry, I just had to cough there. So, let me see if there's any more questions. Hi, Marissa. Can you explain why you leave offerings near trees? Oh, yeah. I have a really strong connection with my ancestral helping spirits. They're a really important part of my practice. So my ancestors like their offerings in their ancestor altar. But what they really enjoy is for me to find places in nature that they help me select where I leave offerings. And these are near my home, places that I walk frequently. So it's very easy to leave a simple offering there on an almost daily basis. And this is just a way for me to connect with the power of nature and the medicine of my ancestors. There's something about shamanic practice that thrives when you connect your inner world and your inner experiences with the natural world. It's as if the natural world is a powerful container for shamanic experience. So yeah, that's why I do that, and that's a wonderful question. Thank you. And thank you for watching. So now I want to talk a little bit about bringing this lucidity or these shamanic dream states into dreams about the future, and also some kind of shamanic ways of working with nightmares. So one of the challenges with dreams about the future is you can have a wonderful dream where, like what people in psychology might call a wish fulfillment dream, where you have this great future and everything's going really great, and then you're like, well, how do I get that to happen? So in some of my other trainings, I've mentioned where I work with a dream altar, where I blow the dream into an object that goes onto my altar. And also, of course, you can take action based on the dream. But what if you have a dream where it just sort of, you don't really know what to do? There isn't like a clear next step, like here's what you should do. Well, there's two ways that you can work with a dream. You can either act out the dream. You can even do this by yourself. I've had dreams where I'm doing healing work and I'm working with a stone, and so I'll just basically duplicate running the stone over someone's energy field like I did in the dream, and I'll feel the chi or the energy from that dream start to come into my body. But another way to do this is, let's say you have a dream where you are out with someone, a friend, and something really great happens. Well, you can actually like make an agreement to meet your friend at this place that you dreamed about and just see what transpires. Often, just by doing a little bit of the activity from the dream, you pull the medicine from the dream into waking life, even though it isn't like a clear instruction like call this person or go here or go there. Another thing that you can do that's really, really important is, depending on how you achieve lucidity, whether you go in when you're half asleep or when you're waking up, or when you wake up within the dream and realize that you're dreaming. One thing that you can do is you can ask questions within the dream. So you can ask to know more about this dream about the future that you're having. And sometimes you'll even dream the same dream but in a different way so that you get more information. The helping spirits often send dreams to us as a way to prepare for the future. And so they want us to figure it out. So it's not unknown for these dreams to reveal themselves within lucid dreams. And that can be a very helpful way of understanding and drawing from the power of that dream. So finally, I want to just mention two more things about dreaming with the future. The first one is nightmares. Sort of the shamanic explanation, or at least the one that a lot of Western practitioners use, is that there's kind of three different explanations for nightmares. The first is unresolved emotions. This is usually pretty clear to the dreamer because you have a psychic connection to your own dreams. You're usually pretty clear that if you keep dreaming about, like I used to have recurring dreams where I was trying to graduate from college. So, I got to the point where I kind of knew what that recurring dream meant and what I was processing. And it usually meant I was having trouble moving into like a new phase of my life. That was, a completely emotional, psychological dream. The other explanation is that you're feeling a lack of protection. That's the reason why I do the practice of either covering your dantian with the sun so that negative spirits or other people can't go into your dream without your permission, or drawing up energy from the earth with that tree exercise where the tree is helping to draw energy up into my solar plexus, and then the solar plexus radiates energy out throughout my field. The reason why that is an important idea is because in the shamanic world, you know, as I've mentioned before, the dream world is like the other world, and everyone goes there every night. So you need a little bit of protection to go in there, and especially if you're going in there with intent to do some kind of work. Also, the dream objects that I mentioned earlier can also help to protect and help you avoid having problems that might create nightmares. The third is sometimes your helping spirits send you a warning dream. Usually you feel like their presence, but this feels like I need to take action on this. I need to make some kind of action plan. Usually when you take action on the dream, you start to feel better. The pressure, the fear of the dream goes up. I mean, relieves itself. I have tried in the middle of a lucid morning dream to change the dream. This was when I was doing more like lucid style type dreaming and less shamanic dreaming. I have now learned that is not smart. I mean, when you're getting a warning dream, your helping spirits want you to basically like work through it and to listen to them. So two kind of shamanic practices that are very simple and easy to work with are basically when you act out a nightmare, if you do this with other people, if you feel it's a warning dream, there is a traditional way of acting out a nightmare where you change or lessen the impact of the ending. So in other words, you go through the events of the dream and you change something, and then you see if the dream feels like it's somehow going to be less problematic. In the free gift that I'm going to give you, I give you an example from a traditional culture of how this works. But this is a tricky thing, and I wouldn't, until you get used to acting out dreams with other people that are positive, I wouldn't jump right into doing this just for myself. A really easy way to do this is take the heavy energy from the dream, because usually when you wake up from a nightmare, you just feel this sense of heaviness around you. Just go into the bathroom and spit the heavy energy out into the toilet or into the sink. It's a really great way to get the heavy energy out so that then you can feel more clear about what was happening in the dream. Were you coming into contact with negative spirits? Were you coming into contact with a warning dream? Were you just resolving something in your psyche? It's a little easier once that heavy energy gets cleared out. Another way to do this, if you think you're having a protection issue, I like to do a cleansing with a green candle like this. Green, this comes from Itzhak Beery. Green is a powerful color. It repels negative energies and negative beings. And all I do is I just like take a part of my body and I just brush the green candle over it, over all of me, as if like I'm using soap in the shower. And then I would just get my candle holder, put the candle into it, and I would burn it all the way down, because this is a cleansing. And as a cleansing, it needs to be completely taken out. That's been a very helpful practice for me as well. There is one class of nightmares that I want to talk a little bit about, briefly mention. If you are having recurring nightmares about a trauma, you might have a soul loss issue. And then you would need to go to a trained shamanic healer and have a soul retrieval. Because one way that the soul can become have a lack of protection is if part of your vital soul is missing. And that can happen with trauma. But most of the time, most nightmares are not in that category. So usually they fit into one of these three categories. And I do talk a little bit on the free gift about kind of what you do in each situation. And finally, my last thing I wanted to share about the future is there is a shamanic healing technique. I think it was created by Robert Moss based on traditional practices of going into either having a dream with a dream journey or going into a light sleep while you're lying next to a person that you want to heal with intent and dreaming a positive future for them. This would then be transmitted through the breath into the heart and to the crown chakra of the person as part of a healing ritual. This might accompany a cleansing like a limpia. It might accompany an extraction where a negative energy was removed, or it might accompany a soul retrieval. I think Alberto Villoldo's people call this a destiny retrieval, but it can be done through the dream. And if you don't know the person and you don't have permission, one thing you can do is to just ask them permission to tell them your positive dream for them. Because if they give you permission and want to hear, sometimes that can help them to begin to connect with the medicine of that practice. I've done this with a person, and the person reported to me that he felt more connected to his purpose after this was done. But this was part of a larger healing ritual. So let me just see if there's any questions real quick. Doing the green candle cleanse is important. Yeah. It's been really helpful to me. And if you are worried about having a candle, I've used birthday candles. I mean, you just as long as it burns completely, that's the important thing. I mean, traditionally people use these special wax candles, but really it works pretty well with just a birthday candle. The important thing is you just want to burn it completely. So can someone accidentally do the opposite of this? Accidentally, you mean give you a negative dream of your future? Is that what you mean, Susan? If you wouldn't mind just giving me an idea of what it is you're asking, I'll be happy to do my best to answer it. If what you're saying is, can someone accidentally give you a negative dream? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're powerful beings, and we're a lot more powerful than we think we are. And so, yes, we can influence each other in our dreams. People can even, when they're unevolved, when they don't really understand the power and importance of their gifts, they can, like, just as a lark, go into other dreams, another dreamer's dream, and try to influence it. There's a little bit of that kind of, I'd say, slightly conscious sorcery that happens sometimes. And that's why the more powerful you get, the more you want to make sure that you have your protection protocols in place when you go into a shamanic dream journey, or even when you just do your dreaming in general. I think it just helps, personally. I did the green candle cleanse when you suggested it before. I feel it definitely helped. Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy. That's great. No, I picked up something from a friend. I slept in the same space. Oh, yeah, that happens all the time. Another thing that's important to do, great care is often taken with the home and sleeping space before bedtime. It's not uncommon for traditional, like, Lakota people to smudge their entire home or room before sleeping or dreaming. It's very important. You know, people might spend time at their altar before they go. I mean, you want to make sure that your sleeping area is good. If you're having a problem where you've picked up negativity, a really simple practice I do is I just ask for divine light to come into my body, to dissolve all cords, contracts, negativity, negative energies, thought forms, and then I just clap. And that sends it all out. It goes out, you know, and then I ask to be filled with radiant divine light. That's a fast way you can do it. You could even, like, go into the bathroom and do that, and no one would know you'd done a clearing if you're, you know, hanging out in someone else's place. Because since it's the holidays, we might be visiting with people, or they might be visiting with us. So that's a really good thing to keep in contact with. The other thing I was going to say is, before I get to the free gift, is there's a sort of special night coming up on December 20th. It's basically the night before the day of the solstice. It's called the Mother Night of Dreams. I'm not sure where this comes from. It might be Iroquois, but it's traditional among some pagan groups and some native groups to dream, or to pay attention to the dream on that night, the night before the winter solstice, as a way of understanding what the rest of the world excuse me, the rest of the year is going to be like. So I just invite all of you to maybe pay more attention to your dreams this night as we go into the winter time. So let me see if there's another. Yep, I bought a used roll-out couch and had nightmares of people I did not know. Yeah, used objects are great. I buy used all the time, but sometimes they need heavy-duty cleansing. Especially all of you, because you're talented. You've probably worked on your gifts, which means you have a medicine body, or at least the beginnings of a medicine body. So unfortunately, the entities that need help will run over to you really fast. And so you need some way to say, no thanks, especially while you're sleeping. So I really enjoyed talking with all of you today. This has been really fun. Thank you for being patient with me. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about my free gift, which I will post the link to after I get done with the talk. And that is basically, I have a Thinkific, I will upload the video within a half hour after I finish here. And I have a PDF, which goes into a little more detail and just basically repeats the points of what I talked about today, and just gives you a little bit more detail about it so that you can begin to go into the shamanic dream world with preparation, with intent, and to use what you are getting in the shamanic dream world to work with it in a better way in your waking life. Also, it's an excellent preparation for actual shamanic journeying if some of you want to learn shamanic journeying, and also it's a great preparation and integration if you already have a shamanic journeying practice. It's really important to also work with your dreams at the same time. So I hope that all of you will take advantage of my free gift. And I have one more free class on my Thinkific site, which is the live stream I did last year, Manifesting with Shamanic Dreamwork, which is just a nice complement to this because it helps you pay attention to the manifestation, waking life piece of this. So let me see if, as a way of understanding what the rest of the calendar year will be like, or the whole next year, it kind of gives you an idea of like the theme of the year. Like some people get like a dream, like this is what I'm going to be dealing with for all of next year, that kind of thing, like a kind of overarching theme. So this is a particularly good night to make sure you've got your protection and that your body, mind, and spirit are on the same page so that your helping spirits can access you and help you and guide you. At least that's kind of the way I see it. Thank you so much for offering up your time. Many blessings to your continued journey, and you as well. And really, thank you all. This has been really fun. I'm really, once again, grateful to Christina for making the time and space for this to happen, and for all of you for watching live, and any of you who are watching the replay. I will be checking back with all the comments to make sure that I've answered questions or just to say hi. And you're welcome to join me. You can either follow my business page, Celestial Tree. I have a blog on WordPress, Celestial Tree. I have a group which I share with my sister Kirsten, Shamanic Earth Medicine, which you're all welcome to join. And I also have a Patreon, which I love doing, sharing shamanic work and live streams like this. And my sister also contributes, which is called Shamanic Earth Medicine on Patreon. And we're going to be starting some work on shamanic journeying in the next 2 months. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. I'm really looking forward to Pamela's talk tomorrow. And I will see you here and hopefully at Shamanic Earth Medicine. Many blessings. And now I'm going to close Shamanic Space.